CSUN holds a town hall meeting to discuss President Trump's travel ban. Downtown LA celebrates their third annual Skid Row Carnival. The flu continues to spread, resulting in the death of many children.
This is Valley View News.
Good afternoon and welcome to Valley View News. I'm Alicia Diegues.
And I'm Eric Kabak.
The CSUN administration is responding to President Trump's executive order that attempts to restrict immigration from 7 Muslim countries. Valley View reporter Annie Stonick has the story.
CSUN faculty, staff, and students gathered for a town hall meeting in response to President Trump's immigration ban. This was the second town hall meeting held after the new administration took office. Administrators and guest speakers informed the attendees of campus resources. Vice President of Student Affairs William Watkins says his biggest fear is that students do not know the support that is available here at CSUN.
Very importantly, I think, for a very large organization, one that's multicultural, very diverse, that believes in respect for all people, is for us to be able to come together and to reassure ourselves as a campus community of our values and our commitment to supporting students and their well-being, as well as our employees as well.
The meeting concluded with students and staff voicing their concerns, many of which were directed toward the fear they had for their families.
We're talking about Muslim students who are afraid to even go out, people who can't see their families. I'm terrified that my mother can't come and visit me. So what am I supposed to say? What are we supposed to do?
CSUN President Diane Harrison says she, along with California lawmakers, will ensure that the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals program will stay intact.
This program allows undocumented immigrants who came here as minors to receive a temporary deferral of deportation. CSUN administrators say they are working with state and federal officials to advocate for international students.
We're beginning now to try to pull together some legal resources. We are beginning to speak with our Middle Eastern community here on our campus so that they can begin to develop a way for us to resource and make connections in that particular way. So I think what students will find who step forward with a concern is that we'll be very resourceful as a campus community in finding ways to respond to whatever problem is brought to our attention.
Reporting at CSUN, I'm Annie Stonick.
The Trump administration has challenged a federal judge's order, temporarily blocking a ban on people entering the United States from 7 majority Muslim countries. U.S. District Judge James Robert ordered all airlines to allow those who were previously banned to enter the U.S. President Trump questioned the integrity of the judge and said the order will be overturned.
The demonstrations continue locally over Trump's immigration order. Valley View's Sharon Carrillo reports on a demonstration at LAX.
Approximately 300 people protested the Muslim ban outside the LAX Tom Bradley terminal last week. People of different ethnicities, ages, and gender chanted and held up signs. One protester, who wished to stay anonymous, says Trump is threatening basic human rights.
Trump's been president for 10 days and he's already passed 16 executive orders. So, we're looking at a situation that's very time sensitive. By the end of this month, we may find ourselves in a country that we have lost more rights than we even realize.
The crowd marched outside the terminal for about 30 minutes. Then, protesters started crossing the street with the help of police, but then stopped in the middle of traffic. The demonstrators then made their way inside the airport. One protester from Dubai said he was frightened because he wasn't sure if he could go back and forth between the two countries.
My home, my work, even my cars, my everything is still in my bucket. I have it with me, the key, everything. So I don't know what I have to do. So if I come back, I'm not gonna see my family again. I don't know, 1 year, 2 years.
Attorneys showed up to help those who were denied entrance to the U.S. One public immigration lawyer says people are having a difficult time entering the country.
A lot of people are being prevented from boarding flights in other countries, so we've seen a big slowdown since the influx over the weekend when there was just sort of total chaos and a lot of people being detained. But we're planning on keeping a presence here, at least through the week and as long as necessary.
Carolyn Gomez of the Party for Socialism and Liberation says all of Trump's executive orders need to be overturned.
As you hear the chants behind us, they are saying from Palestine to Mexico, all of the walls have got to go, and that is very true. We are here in solidarity with all people across the country.
Days after Trump signs the Muslim ban, protesters are still gathering here at LAX trying to get their voices heard. Reporting for Valley View News, I'm Sharon Carrillo.
The South Coast Air Quality Board has delayed a decision on its 15-year smog reduction plan until next month. The goal of the $16 billion plan was to reduce nitrogen oxides by 55% in the nation's worst air-polluted counties, LA, Orange, Riverside, and San Bernardino. But cargo handlers and other LA port industries say they won't agree to the air district's regulations. The district blames these companies for much of the area's polluted problems.
A year and a half ago, the Aliso Canyon natural gas field was shut down after a massive leak. But earlier this month, SoCal Gas started pulling again from the field due to cold weather demand. Lexi Wilson shows us the public hearing that turned angry.
They don't give a damn about you or the thousands of people who have been poisoned.
A public hearing was held in Woodland Hills by state regulators to see if the Aliso Canyon facility should be reopened. Porter Ranch residents showed their frustrations in hopes regulators reject SoCal's request to open the gas field. 2 years ago, 109,000 metric tons of methane were released into the air for 4 months. It was the worst methane leak in United States history, causing schools to close and forcing thousands of families out of their homes, and putting people's health at risk.
With the odors, and often without them, come the headaches, nosebleeds, nausea, dizziness, rashes, respiratory complications, and many other health problems.
State Senator Henry Stern sponsored legislation that would prohibit the use of gas from the field until officials have determined what caused the leak.
And let's wait until we move into discussing what to do with that gas field until we get to the bottom of what happened there back in October 2015.
State and local officials, including LA County health officials and the fire department, were not in favor of reopening the facility. But when local officials in favor of reopening Aliso Canyon got a chance to speak, they were booed off the stage.
The meeting was cut short. I am currently standing outside of the SoCal Gas Company facility. A final decision has not yet been made whether they will reopen the gas field. There will be several more public hearings and debates. In Porter Ranch, I'm Lexi Wilson for Valley View News.
A Porter Ranch physician has found a new pattern of health symptoms in patients since last year's gas leak. Jeffrey Nordella says he's seen abnormal pulmonary functions, low red blood cell counts, and rare cases of anemia in some patients. Nordella hopes other doctors will work with him on a long-term study about the effects of the gas leak. Many residents felt sick while the well was leaking, but no official health study has been completed on the long-term impact of the exposure.
Wells Fargo is being sued by a Riverside dreamer for discrimination. The lawsuit claims Wells Fargo denied Mitzi Perez a loan because she is not a U.S. citizen. Dreamers are not eligible for federal grants or loans, but some banks are known to turn down private loans for non-permanent residents. This violates federal and state laws prohibiting discrimination based on immigration status.
Marriott displayed some new hotel experiences at the America's Lodging Investment Summit in Los Angeles. The hotel franchise plans to add communal rooms, apparently to compete with Airbnb. There are 3 to 4 private rooms connected by a shared living room and kitchen. Perfect for groups traveling together, Siri could also be a new guest. Hotel guests would control their TV, room temperatures, and dim the lights using their voices.
It's a wet winter as Yesenia Burgara shows us the homeless people in the San Fernando Valley are having a hard time staying warm and dry.
The homeless population has grown in the valley over the past few years and shelters are limited. The homeless have only 3 family shelters and 2 that allow single individuals. Grace Pomlin has been homeless for 10 years. She lives on the streets with her dog most of the time, and when it rains, her options are limited.
I stay on the street or we'll go into like restaurants, like there's Denny's that you can stay 24 hours. There's another restaurant on Sherman Way. You can stay there 24 hours. There's a McDonald's on Lancashire and Magnolia. You can stay there overnight, you know.
The San Fernando Valley Rescue Mission is one of the family shelters in the valley. It has 90 beds accommodating families only, and that is why individuals like Grace cannot stay there. Audrey Kokar is the Community Relations Coordinator for the Valley Rescue Mission. She says she has seen more and more homeless families in the last several years.
It's grown in the valley over 30%. In fact, 1/3 of the homeless population is made up of families, and so it's a constant flow. It's pretty steady. We find that typically our waiting list is about 75 families long. In the winter, it can get a little bit longer, but typically it's a year-round issue.
Jimmy Brown works for the Rescue Mission Shower Program. He says there is a serious need for more shelter support for single individuals.
I even have some elderly women that are just on Social Security that just don't have enough to live. And there just needs to be more of an awareness and just a push to be able to have opportunities for those folks, the higher functioning ones that just are economically insufficient.
The Homeless Authority went out last month to conduct a new homeless count, which is needed to receive funding to combat homelessness. The number should be announced within 4 to 5 months. In Northridge, California, this is Yesenia Burgara, Valley View News.
New restrictions on homeless people are in effect in the city of Los Angeles. People who live in cars or RVs can no longer park within 500 yards of schools, daycare centers, and parks. The restrictions also prohibit parking on residential streets between 6 in the morning and 9 at night. Civil rights activists say the rules will make it difficult for homeless to live in their cars and don't address the issues of people sleeping in tents on sidewalks.
The third annual Skid Row Carnival took place in downtown Los Angeles last weekend. The event offered free services such as healthcare and dental work for the homeless. Reporter Grecia Lopez has a story.
It's the event Skid Row waits for every year. The Carnival of Love, presented by Wayfair Entertainment Company, brings smiles and compassion to a place that doesn't really have much. For some, this carnival was a chance to let loose and forget about their struggles, like Cesar Acevedo.
I'm enjoying your guys' support.
The homeless were given free food, dental work, clothes, haircuts, and more.
I got a foot massage, I got some food, clothes, hygiene, and that's it.
When I asked how all of this would help him, he said,
So I could change and have clean clothes so I won't smell.
Acevedo was able to get his health checked by the LA Christian Healthcare Center. Medical assistant Carolina Maradiaga says Acevedo is in good condition.
Based on today, his sugars were good and his blood pressure was good. We do this all along with our faith, and we also provide spiritual care, and we serve our homeless population here on Skid Row.
The Carnival of Love is people simply showing that they care about the homeless, not through their words, but through their actions. Psychologist Kristen Eddy volunteered her services.
This event is amazing. It's such a special day for all of the hopeless and the forgotten to know that they are cared for, that society is not ignoring them, that they are not forgotten, that they are important, and that every single one of their lives matters to us.
Companies like Starbucks issued job applications and resume workshops. Rachel Gross says this support is what she needs.
We need a lot of help sometimes, and these events help us with a lot of things that we need, clothing and food.
Not only were the homeless taken care of, but so were their furry companions who received free grooming.
In Los Angeles, Grecia Lopez, Valley View News.
When we come back, more on Queen Elizabeth's special day
and Gaga's new tour.
When I was in foster care, I never knew when I would have to move, so I always had my suitcase ready to go. Then one day, I was adopted. My new parents opened their hearts and home to me. My parents cook my favorite breakfast for me every morning. My parents take me on trips I never thought I would go on. They gave me a home and an even better reason to use that suitcase. My parents aren't perfect, but they're perfect for me.
So we drowned the fire, stirred it, drowned it again, and now just feel if it's cold.
Yeah.
Cool.
Smokey just gave me a bear hug.
I know. I already posted it.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is calling on other nations to follow the lead of the U.S. in placing economic sanctions on Iran for its ballistic missile test. Netanyahu met with British Prime Minister Theresa May to talk about Iran along with Israeli West Bank settlements. Netanyahu says Iran seeks to conquer the Middle East and that its possession of nuclear weapons would threaten the world. Britain is opposed to Israeli expansion in the West Bank.
Queen Elizabeth II this week celebrated 65 years on the British throne. The Queen was 25 years old when she took the throne on February 6, 1952. She is the longest reigning monarch in British history. A traditional royal salute was held at Green Park, the Tower of London, and other locations across the United Kingdom. The Queen observed the day privately. In honor of the new occasion, new coins and a new stamp were issued.
Now with your entertainment news, here is Cheyenne Conaway.
For millions who tuned into the Super Bowl, it was one lady who stole the show. Lady Gaga opened the halftime performance from the roof of the stadium with her own versions of God Bless America and This Land Is Your Land. Singing only a few lines from both, she then hurled herself from the roof into a fiery stage. She promised to make a statement about inclusion, and her approach was seen as very uncontroversial. The 12-minute performance included 2 outfit changes and aerial jumps, all while dancing to some of her most popular hits. After her performance, the Born This Way singer announced world tour dates. Fans who purchased Lady Gaga merchandise from her website get early access to pre-sale tickets. The Joanne World Tour will kick off in Canada later this year. The Super Bowl and its commercials go together like wings and beer. Ads for Coca-Cola and Airbnb made political statements, touching on immigration and diversity. Fox and the NFL said they were trying to stay away from ads that were controversial. Building materials supplier 84 Lumber aired its first commercial about a mother and daughter making their way from Mexico to the United States. Fox deemed the ad to be too controversial. An edited version was aired, and Fox redirected viewers to the website for the conclusion. Twitter then went wild with the hashtag Boycott Budweiser shortly after the 50-second spot aired. The commercial shows Budweiser's founder immigrating from Germany to America. Airbnb had one of the most talked about ads. It featured views of people from different backgrounds with a message saying, "We believe no matter who you are, where you're from, who you love, or who you worship, we all belong." Other commercials featured cameos from celebrities like Justin Timberlake, Melissa McCarthy, and Justin Bieber. Beyoncé fans were worried that Queen Bee wouldn't be performing at Coachella due to her pregnancy, but Beyoncé says she will perform. Beyoncé announced late last month that she's pregnant with twins. She will be in her 3rd trimester when the festival arrives. That's all for entertainment. Now back to you.
After a 6-month search for a suspect, a Brooklyn man was arraigned for the death of Queens jogger Karina Vetrano. If convicted, 20-year-old Chanel Williams would face life in prison. The DA's office says the defendant has confessed. Vetrano's mother spoke about her daughter's murder.
We would stop at nothing to find the savage that did this to her.
We know who he is.
We know who he is. He's a savage.
Vetrano was beaten, strangled, and sexually assaulted last summer. Vetrano's father usually ran with her but stayed home the day she was killed.
And after our break, Tom Brady and the flu
make a major comeback.
Don't worry, 74 people were picked before me in the NFL draft.
To fight childhood obesity, United Way and the NFL are helping kids play at least 60 minutes a day.
Okay, time for the team obstacle course. Yay!
What this place needs is more healthy kids. To get involved or donate, go to unitedway.org/play60.
Now I get it.
patriotism. It inspires passionate debate. It's worn like a badge of honor with good reason, because it means love and devotion for one's country. But what really makes up this country of ours? It's the people. To love America is to love all Americans. This year, patriotism shouldn't just be about pride of country. It should be about love. Love beyond age, sexuality, disability, race, religion, and other labels. Because love has no labels.
Hamilton was adopted from a rescue in 2008. He knows he's a pretty big deal. How could you not love him?
John Adams Middle School in Santa Monica has reopened after a norovirus outbreak. Nearly 90 people who went on a Yosemite National Park trip last month came back with a gastrointestinal illness. Norovirus is the most common severe gastrointestinal illness in the U.S. The campus was closed over several days and scrubbed with antiviral cleaners. The principal advised anyone with symptoms to stay home for 3 days.
Health officials say it's not too late for people to get a flu vaccine. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention reported over 12,000 cases of influenza across the country. The virus continues to spread in 40 states and 15 children have died. Most states and U.S. territories are experiencing high levels of flu activity.
Republicans vowed to overturn Obamacare. As Caroline Hogikian shows us, there are others who would like to replace it with a single-payer healthcare system.
Medicare for All protesters gathered in Pershing Square near downtown Los Angeles to support a single-payer healthcare system. Protesters want a single-payer system to replace for-profit health insurance. Green Party member Kenneth Mejia organized a rally.
My mom and people I know have illnesses like cancer, and they have friends who don't have health insurance. And so, even with Obamacare, it's still hard to get the treatment or the coverage you need.
Opponents of the single-payer system argue that hospital wait times will increase along with payroll taxes. But Kylene Wolfstein, a patient with multiple sclerosis, said she would welcome a single-payer system.
As a result of having MS, I am now on the brink of declaring bankruptcy, becoming homeless, and losing my cats. In a blink of an eye, I went from being healthy with good credit to being sick with $6,000 in medical debt. Medical debt has depleted my savings and it's obliterated my credit.
A single-payer advocate also says healthcare should not be in the hands of for-profit insurers.
This isn't a marketable item. It's not like buying a car or a refrigerator. It's a matter of life and death.
Protesters ended the rally in front of City Hall, but urged the public to continue their fight. Regardless of universal health care opponents, protesters are hopeful that with the help of progressive leaders, universal health care will soon become a human right. I'm Caroline Hogikian with Valley View News.
You just finished a big meal, and suddenly taking a nap on the couch becomes more appealing by the minute. Well, you're experiencing a phenomenon known as postprandial somnolence, commonly referred to as a food coma. A New York nutrition professor says the most likely explanation for food comas is a change in blood circulation. When eating large meals, the nervous system has a shift in blood flow from the muscles and brain into the stomach. Doctors advise eating smaller meals during the day and drinking more liquids to avoid getting tired throughout the day.
Now with your sports news, here's Annie Stonick.
Super Bowl 51 was a game for the ages. Tom Brady and the Patriots took on Matt Ryan and the Atlanta Falcons. Less than a minute into the second quarter, Patriots from their own 33, 1st and 10, fumble by LeGarrette Blount. Atlanta drives down to the 5-yard line. Atlanta's Devonta Freeman puts the Falcons on the board first. On their next drive, Matt Ryan hits Austin Hooper for a touchdown, 14-0 Falcons. Tom Brady is trying to get the Pats on the board before the end of the half, but Robert Alford intercepts for an 82-yard pick six, 21-0 Atlanta. Second half, Atlanta leads 21-3. Ryan hits Taylor Gabriel for a huge gain, and then hits Tevin Coleman for a 6-yard touchdown, 28-3 Falcons. Halfway through the fourth quarter, Brady and the Patriots down 16, but the defense forces Matt Ryan to fumble. Brady hits Danny Amendola for the touchdown. Atlanta leads 28-20. Then, probably the biggest play of the game, Julian Edelman somehow is able to hold on to this pass among 3 Atlanta defenders. Less than a minute to go, James White scores and the Patriots tie the game 28-28. Overtime, the first in Super Bowl history. Brady hits receiver Chris Hogan for a big gain. And on the 2nd and goal from the 2-yard line, James White scores again. The Patriots win their 5th Super Bowl of the Tom Brady-Bill Belichick era. An unprecedented 25-point comeback by the New England Patriots to stun the Atlanta Falcons. Tom Brady is now the only quarterback to win 5 Super Bowls and the only player with 4 Super Bowl MVPs. Brady broke Super Bowl records for attempts, completions, and passing yards. He turns 40 in August, but says he has no intent of retiring. Brady says he attributes his success to taking care of his body.
When you're in a locker room for 17 years, you kind of learn what to do and what not to do and what works for you. And, I found probably a unique way that's a little outside the box that's really worked. And, I try to spread that message to a lot of other players because, football is a demanding sport. It's a demanding sport on your body. And your body is your asset. And if you are hurting all the time, football is no fun.
Brady said after the game, if it was up to his wife, he would retire. But no way, Giselle. Now that the Super Bowl is over, the focus has shifted to college basketball. Here's what you may have missed and what's coming up this season. CSUN is coming off a tough loss at home against the University of Hawaii. USC and UCLA are both gearing up for the tournament next month. Duke players have come back from both injuries and suspensions to redeem themselves with a 3-game winning streak. The University of Kansas Jayhawks are on track to win their 13th consecutive regular season Big 12 title. But controversy is surrounding 5 players who are thought to be witnesses in an ongoing rape investigation. Wildcats head coach Chris Collins thinks that this will be the year Northwestern finally makes it to the NCAA tournament. And finally, the Zags will make their march toward history and could enter the NCAA tournament as the undefeated #1 seed. The LA Kings were hoping to be the first team to beat the Washington Capitals at the Verizon Center this year, but failed to do so. About 4 minutes in, Washington's Lars Eller scored the first goal of the game on a quick pass. Later in the period, the Kings had an opportunity to score, but could not take advantage of it. With 1:49 left in the first half, the Capitals scored on an open shot to give the Capitals a 2-0 lead. In the second half, a Kings mistake on the defensive side was costly as Brett Connolly got an open pass in front of the Kings goalpost to score. The Kings would call it a day as they were shut out by a score of 5-0. They will look to rebound this week against the Tampa Bay Lightning. That's it for sports. Now back to you.
A 16-month-old toddler is alive after her nanny donated part of her liver. College student Kirsten Miles knew the family for only 3 weeks before she learned about Talia Roscoe's fatal disease. The transplant procedure took place at the Hospital of the University of Pennsylvania in January. Doctors say the little girl wouldn't have made it past 2 years old if it wasn't for Miles' sacrifice. Both Miles and Talia are now recovering nicely.
Thank you for watching Valley View News. I'm Alicia Dieguez.
And I'm Eric Kabak. Stay tuned for the next edition of Valley View News.